Hey y'all, with this first breakdown of my video, Grieve With Me Now, my twin, the breakdown will be in 4 parts. So this will be the first breakdown, and then which will be part 1, which is where I basically explain to you guys why I titled the video in the way that I did, and then you'll have part 1, 2, 3, and 4 because I want to break down the entire video. So the title "Grieve With Me Now." I actually went back and forth from "Grieve With Me Now" to "Grieve With Me" or "It's Time to Grieve My Twin." I went back and forth with that, back and forth, and I think I ended up keeping. It's time to grieve my twin, or I may have just changed it to grieve with me now, my twin. But all of those choices still dealt with my whole premise of, you know, it's been 10 years, and 10 years is a really, really long time. So but I haven't really, and you have to kind of understand the whole background of like psychology and counseling and all that, because a lot of people do not grieve their loved ones. They don't grieve when something traumatic happens to them. It's something that's so remarkable with the brain, to where our brain can actually make it to where it will encapsulate certain things and certain traumatic events, to where you know, it kind of blocks it off, you know, and that's where we get, you know, those numb feelings of showing no emotions or having no emotions. That's our brain kind of blocking it off, and you have to try your best to kind of welcome those emotions and actually let them come, but I did not. My brain was literally on a switch, to where, you know, I knew when I could grieve for a minute and dry my tears once it hit minute 3. You know, I mean, so, and it was, I thank myself for it, but at the same time, it's made it to where here it is 10 years later, and I'm asking my twin, like, hey, you know, grieve with me now, you know, because I wasn't grieving back then. It was back then when she passed away, nobody ever knew this, not even my family, but nobody knew my ways of thinking that actually got me through the day. She passed away during our junior year of college, of our graduate year. So we were, I think, right at our junior year, and that she passed away. And the way I know my brain was turned on like robotic mode is I literally sent an email to all of my teachers saying, hey, you know, I'm coming in. You guys know what happened. You may see me crying, or you may see me break down, but do not draw attention to me. That's exactly what I said in the email. I said, please don't draw attention to me. Don't walk over to me and ask me, am I okay? Don't ask me to step outside. Please don't draw attention to me. And that's exactly what I said in the email. And I had a way of getting rid of a lot, to where it was literally just my mind. My mind was on, okay, well, we have to get rid of certain things, to where, because you have to still go to school, you have to still go to college, you still have to go to work. Like, you guys don't understand. I didn't stop my job, and I didn't stop going to schools. Like, I still had to, and it's crazy because I didn't have to get a job or have a job because, you know, my mom worked, but at the same time, it's like, you know, she's grieving as well, you know, like, she's like, I'm not the only one. So, So of course, just not being selfish, I had to still do what I had to do, and then there was a reason for that as well, which you guys will see in another part. But yeah, what got me through my days in college was I would literally show up to class, and I would literally show up to class, sit down, and my thought process. And I mean, I can't even believe that I even allow myself to do this to myself. But at the same time, it's like I had to get through the day. I had to get through those classes. So my mindset, some days I would walk in and I knew she was going, and I broke down. I still studied, I still left, and I did my tests, and and it was so many days where, and that's probably why I don't eat now. I barely eat, because I don't know, my body is just so used to kind of going through an entire day of college, and then leaving and going to work and just forgetting to eat. It was just bad. And but what got me through those days was I would sometimes have to come to class and say, oh, she's just running late, or oh, it's just Jaleesa again, she's off, she's skipping class. I'll hit her up later and give her my notes. And sometimes it'll just be me thinking, okay, well, or sometimes I had gotten to a point where it was just she had switched classes, to where, I was literally telling myself, it was just bad some days. But that's how I got myself through it, and as horrible as it may sound, it was my mind saying, hey, the late nights of and the late nights of the late nights of me still having to write papers. And I had to, some nights it was some nights it was she's done with her paper. She got it done early. It was a lot of reality checks, but it was a lot of checkouts at the same time. So, and I think that's why I kind of sometimes have a hard time with doing anything educational now, because it was just so tough back then. It was just so tough. And I also had a minor. So I had followed Jaleesa because she wanted to get a minor in computer information systems, and which was coding. And oh my, I wanted to do a minor in business, but I followed her because that's your twin sister. That's your twin sister. That's just what you do. And, or that's just what I did. It was just oh, okay, so she wants to do computer information system. Let's go. And it was the toughest class. And I I thank all of the guys in there, because a lot of the guys, a lot of the guys, um, um, so a lot of the guys knew my story, and I mean, I can't tell y'all the number of nights where, I mean, I'm surprised I didn't have like a mental breakdown. I mean, but there was a reason for that. So, and I'm gonna get to that in like another part. But it was nice where, I mean, coding is no joke. It is no joke, and I don't ever want to see another code for the rest of my life. But those guys knew it was nothing but guys in the class too. So, but they knew about they had knew about my twin sister, and oh my God, like I never talked to anybody, but it was this one night where I was in the computer lab, and I mean, I kid y'all not, like it was just one of those nights where my body had just had it, but my mind was still on don't cry, don't fail mode. I mean, it was still on that, and so whether I wanted to stop or not, like I couldn't. So it was so be nice, but this one particular night I was in the computer lab all by myself coding, and I mean, it was just, and keep in mind, y'all, she had just passed away. I mean, she passed away in 2010. I graduated in 2012, so it was 2 years of me having to finish coding and everything myself, and I just want to give y'all that marker because it hadn't even been a year of her passing where I had to do coding, and it was a minor. Like my major was psychology, so I knew how to. I had a lot of psychologists as teachers who, they watched me closely, but that particular night I had just had it, and the group of guys that had, they were all leaving because they had finished their codes for the night, and I was there, and I was like maybe 3/4 of the way done with mine, but for some reason mine just wouldn't launch. Like it was something with my codes, like it just didn't launch, and they walked in, they saw me, and I was like crying silently. Like I was like literally like trying to get the code right. And I mean, they probably had stuff to do. And I know they probably had stuff to do, but I mean, I kid you not. I mean, I kid you not. It was like they all, like literally, like I kid you not. One guy sat down and he was like, "Hey, like, I know you." I had thought they had went downstairs and they left, but they had actually went downstairs to, um, like literally bring some coffee up there to me, and they sat there and they watched me finish my code, and every time that I wasn't doing something right, they would say, "Well, hey, go back and look at that over." So it was like they were they were kind of coasting me through it because like it was so many times where y'all just don't understand. Like I just could not think. And yeah, I mean they helped me and I got it launched, and every other assignment we had, I knew I could actually come to them and get some help, and I needed that because I went into computer systems for her, I did not want to. No, and just that just wasn't my choice. So, but I had to finish it out. So that kind of shows y'all how busy I was, and it just I did not have time to grieve. Like I did not have time to grieve, and I wasn't social at all. I didn't know how to make friends at all, and still to this day I sometimes can't. I mean, I didn't need friends. I had friends, but she was my main friend, and so even after she passed, it was just something about it. Like I didn't know how to talk to people. It was like my communication of knowing how to be social was on baby mode. It was literally on baby mode to where I didn't know what to do or say, or because it was so many years where I just didn't need a friend, and I had my friends from high school, but they weren't here. And the only friend relationship that I had that honestly made me always remember that I have friends. Was literally my best friend Dana. I mean, she probably doesn't even realize. But you know, the check-ins and the phone calls where she would just kind of just talk about her life is like I needed that, because those times where, you know, she would call me, she would check in, she would come by, and it's like, those are the those are the moments where I realized that, like, I don't know, it was just crazy moments where, you know, we'll be on, like, she'll call me and like we're on the phone talking, or she'll come by, and I would literally think to myself, like, Jasmine, you can have friends. You know, why don't you talk to people? You know, but yeah, and she doesn't know it, but she would just, she would just forever have my heart for that, because it was so needed. Because if not, and I needed, like, that long time friend to kind of wake me up and kind of say, like, hey, like, you know, you are talking to, you know, your best friend Dana, you know, like, hello, you do have, like, you can't make friends. Like, what are you doing? But even like afterwards, you know, or like she would leave, and I would go back to my, you know, just go back to, you know, just being socially awkward. You know, I mean, but she, but I mean, she was definitely, she has been. I mean, just, man. Now I kind of have more flowers in my garden, but back then she was the only flower in just a garden of just weeds. I mean, I can't explain to y'all enough how I didn't talk to anybody. And I had a college friend, Alyssa, who she's a doctor now. She just graduated with her PhD, and or I think it's a PsyD. But yeah, she's a doctor now, and she was also the person that got me through college, and I thank her so much for that, because she was one of those friends where, you know, she was one of those friends where, like, I wanted to stay on track with her. And little does she know, like, I wanted to stay, like, she was my marker to, like, okay, Jasmine, like, okay, so Alyssa's studying, like, come on, she's invited you to study, like, let's go. Like, she was my marker to keep going. She was where I always wanted to make sure I was. And I thank her so much for that. And we're still friends on Instagram to this day, but I'm just so proud of her. And but yeah, she was one of my markers there, that kept me going. And but yeah, I mean, but that's the meaning behind, like, my title, you know, grieve with me now, or it's time to grieve. Like I said, I went back and forth, but they both mean, like, hey, can we do this now? Can we actually grieve now? Because it was so long that I just didn't, you know, just numb to everything. And the next part of it was where I said, I think the trigger was